We are taught to fear time, to believe that youth equals success, that speed equals worth, that if you haven't made it by a certain age, you never will. But that's not philosophy, that's panic. And panic is not truth. Philosophers have long questioned this obsession with time. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of ours." Time is not an enemy. It's a canvas waiting for us to begin painting, no matter when we start.
Our society worships the prodigy, the Mozart who composed at 5, the tech founder who became a billionaire at 20. But philosophy reminds us that speed is not depth, and talent without wisdom often burns too fast. The oak tree that grows slowly lives longer and stronger than the weed that sprouts overnight. Plato didn't start teaching until his 40s. Socrates became known only after 50. Even Leonardo da Vinci, the symbol of genius, completed most of his masterpieces in his later years. Perhaps the question is not, why so late, but why so early? Why rush to finish the book before you've lived the story? Psychologists tell us that emotional intelligence peaks between 40 and 60. That's when humans begin to balance ambition with understanding and passion with peace. You begin to see the world not as a competition, but as a conversation. You realize that life doesn't owe you speed, it offers you meaning if you're patient enough to see it. The late bloomer isn't behind. They are simply ripening at the right season. And fruit that ripens slowly is always the sweetest. Let's step away from theory and look at life itself. Colonel Sanders was broke at 65, but his recipe fed the world. Stan Lee imagined Spider-Man when others told him superheroes were dead. Vera Wang was a failed figure skater before she became the queen of fashion. Ray Kroc didn't franchise McDonald's until he was 52. Grandma Moses started painting at 78 and became one of America's most celebrated artists. They all lived the same philosophy. There's no such thing as too late. There's only your time. In Zen, there's a concept called Shoshin, the beginner's mind. It teaches that the mind of the beginner is open, curious, alive. Ironically, those who start late often return to this state naturally. They approach life not with arrogance, but with wonder. They don't rush, they observe. They don't demand, they build. Kierkegaard wrote, "Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards." So the late bloomer lives with the calm of hindsight and the courage of foresight. They've seen what fails, so they move wiser, deeper, slower. In Zen, there's a concept called Shoshin, the beginner's mind. It teaches that the mind of the beginner is open, curious, alive. Ironically, those who start late often return to this state naturally. They approach life not with arrogance, but with wonder. They don't rush, they observe. They don't demand, they build. Kierkegaard wrote, "Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards." So the late bloomer lives with the calm of hindsight and the courage of foresight. They've seen what fails, so they move wiser, deeper, slower. Our world moves too fast, scrolling, rushing, shouting. But the late bloomers are the ones who remind us that time is not a race, but a rhythm. They build quietly, love deeply, and think before acting. They are the poets, the healers, the thinkers, people who bloom not for applause, but for truth. Without them, life would be noise without melody.
If you are feeling behind,
Understand this. You are not late. You are simply arriving on time for the person you're meant to become. Every delay was preparation. Every fall was fertilizer. Every too late was just the universe saying, not yet. You're still growing roots. The philosopher Alan Watts once said, "The meaning of life is just to be alive." It is so plain and so obvious and so simple. And yet, everybody rushes around in a great panic as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves. So breathe. Look around. You're already becoming. Because greatness is not about being early. It's about being ready. And your time is now.